I just did the Jayavani. So.
Okay, that's true. One question.
Haribol, Haribol. When you, in the morning program, did anyone read from Srila Gurudev's Katha before I came? Like, did anybody read the Hari Katha that's on the...
I read it, personally I've read it.
Oh, but no one read it in the program?
Not the noontime program,
Okay.
They read it at 8 o'clock, I think.
Okay. Okay.
Well, yeah, not a mic, just
yeah. Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Itadalaya Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Imam Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singha Rupane Shri Śrīmad. Oh, can you turn off that little light? There's two on the right side, the one on the left.
Do what?
You see those two? Yeah, no, you turn off the light, you press that button. Yeah, okay. There's an echo. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravahani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Eshatarani Namo Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Iti Namani Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Gosvāmī Iti Namani Namo Vishnu Padaya Acharya Singha Rupane Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Iti Namani Ati Martya Charitraya Swasritanam Chapalane Jiva Dukke Sadartaya Shri Nama Prema Dayane Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namani Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadannaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gaura Tishe Namo Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Vikaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vrindai Tulsi Devi Priyai Keshavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Prade Devi Satyavachai Namo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare. First of all, I'm offering my Dandavat Pranams, my Shraddha Pushpanjali at the lotus feet of my most worshipable, beloved Diksha and Siksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupad, Paramahansa Astatarasata Śrīla, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Śrīla Prabhupada, Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa, Astatarasata Śrīla Bhakti Rakshak, Sridhar Gosvāmī Maharaj, and Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa, Astatarasata Śrīla Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Maharaj. And on this most blessed appearance day of my Param Siksha Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishtom Vishnupad Paramahansa Astatarasata Śrīla Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj, I'm offering my unlimited Dandavat pranams at his divine lotus feet, and I offer my Dandavat pranams to all of my Sri Rupa Nuga Guru Varga, and I offer my Dandavat pranams to all of the Vaishnavas and all of the Vaishnavis. So being the transcendental Avirbhav Mahamahotsav TD, the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj, we had a program at midday where a few different devotees offered their Pushpanjali to him, and I also spoke some there. There was limited time because today the new Braj Vasis went down to the town to benedict all the conditioned souls with the Harinam Sankirtan. We're very proud of them and very happy that they went on this auspicious occasion. So we're continuing, and I wanted to read from our beloved Gurudev his own offering that he gave on the appearance day of Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj when he was in Murwillumbah, Australia in 2004, February 9th of 2004. So how Gurudev encapsulates this, we certainly have to read his words on this day. He says, today is a very auspicious day. It is the birthday of my spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pad, Sri Śrīmad, Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj. I have seen with my own eyes how he used to observe Vyas Puja on his birthday by offering respects to all other Vaishnavas, especially to senior Vaishnavas, but also to juniors. The backbone of bhakti is Guru Nishta. What's the meaning of Guru Nishta? What's the meaning of Nishta?
Attachment.
No, Nishta means firm faith. Nishta. So the backbone, it's like our body has our spinal cord, our backbone. We can't do anything if we have no strong backbone, right? So Gurudev always used to say this, that the backbone of bhakti is Guru Nishta, strong faith in one's spiritual master. And he says that those who have no Guru Nishta, they can never develop in Krishna consciousness. So it's all dependent. Yasya prasadat, bhagavat prasada. So we have seen his Guru Nishta. He wanted to glorify his Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. But he became overwhelmed simply by beginning to utter the word Prabhupada. He would begin to weep loudly. And then he would call upon us, that means Srila Vaman Raj, Trivikram Raj, myself and others. By some signal, he would call upon us to glorify his Gurudev because he couldn't speak. I've heard Gurudev tell this many times. As soon as he would even begin to pronounce the first syllable, pra, and he would just break down weeping and weeping. Having heard from him about his relationship with his Gurudev, we glorify him in connection with his absorption in his Gurudev's service. That's the glorification. How he served Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. This is also the way in which we glorify Lord Krishna. What is the glorification of Krishna? It is the glorification of his associates, especially the gopis, and especially Srimati Radhika. If one glorifies Srimati Radhika, Krishna is automatically glorified. Similarly, if Param Gurudev, Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, is glorified, the glory of our Gurudev will come. It is bound to come. It may be that the liberated Guru is not liberated in the eyes of his godbrothers, right? But in the eyes of the disciple, he is the direct representative of Sri Krishna himself. The disciple will always have strong faith that my Gurudev is a special representation or manifestation of Krishna. We have heard everything from him. So, did not Srila Prabhupada also explain this point very extensively? The vision of the disciple has to be that my Gurudev is Sakshat Hari for me. Srila Sridhar Maharaj told us in all those early first question sessions from the GBC, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, that whole book, Sri Guru and His Grace, and other points also, Srila Sridhar Maharaj spoke so much about the principle of Guru and the principle of the disciple and the relationship between disciple and Guru. And he said there that the disciple who really has firm connection with Guru, the disciple will always feel and will always have this strong belief and faith that for me, my Gurudev is best. There may be so many other gurus and disciples and so forth, but the disciple will feel that for me, my Gurudev is best. Because Krishna, he has arranged that, and the faith of the disciple has risen up through service to Guru, through hearing from Guru. Tadvidhi pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya. Those three things. So, Gurudev is saying that even in the eyes of the godbrothers of a liberated Guru, that means a perfected soul. So the godbrothers are not required to necessarily see him. Of course they will. But to see him like the disciples see him. And that's the unique thing about Guru Tattva. Because just like in our association with Srila Gurudev Narayan Gosvāmī Maharaj, there were so many different disciples of so many different gurus. And disciples of Srila Prabhupada from the West. But everything was very nicely harmonized. We also saw how our Gurudev used to interact with his own godbrothers, right? And they were not required to see him through the eyes of how a disciple sees the Guru, right? But they have a different rasa with him, a different rasa, Sakya ras, brotherly affection. And in that brotherly affection, they can also quarrel. They can also argue, give slap to the face, Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, behind closed doors, not in front of his disciples. So, in the eyes of the disciple, his guru is the direct representative of Sri Krishna himself. So when we pray the Guru Vastakam prayers in the morning, this is told in the 7th verse. What does the 7th verse say? Let's say it together. Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastra Rupastata Bhavyata Eva Sadavi Kintu Prabhoya Priya Eva Tasya Bande Guru Sri Charanarvindam. So let's review the meaning of this line by line. What does the first line say?
Sakshad Hari, which means he's a direct representation of.
Sakshad Haritvena, then?
That all Shastra.
Samasta Shastra.
All Shastra confirms this.
And then the second line, Ruktastata Bhavyata Eva Sadhabi. Sadhabi means who? Means all the great saints and pure devotees. Sadhabi, right? So, Ruktastata. Uktas means they also say this. So all the Shastras are telling this, that what? That Sri Guru is Sakshat Hari. Sakshat means directly, not indirectly, not in some vague way, no, directly. The eyes of the disciple must see that when coming to before Guru and serving Guru. In that relationship, that must be there. So the first two lines are saying this fact. This is the Guru Tattva principle that descends into a jiva. And then when they begin to preach and accept disciples and so forth, that vision is conveyed through the Supreme Lord, the Guru Tattva principle, that the disciple will have this vision of Sri Guru, that Guru, Krishna has come to me through my Guru. And that the relationship will develop very, very deeply. You know, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he said so many important things in his discussions with the GBC. He pointed out one thing. He used an example. He said, just like in the conversation between Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy. So, who was the speaker of that in that conversation, and who was the listener? Mahaprabhu was the listener, and he was inquiring from Ramananda Roy. But Ramananda Roy, at the same time, could understand that in actuality, it's Mahaprabhu who's speaking through me, right? But Srila Sridhar Maharaj used as an example that Ramananda Roy could not perceive that this was directly coming as he was speaking. This was coming through Krishna. It was coming through Mahaprabhu. He could not exactly detect, but he could feel something. He could feel that something is flowing through me. And this is the example Srila Sridhar Maharaj gave for the relationship between Guru and disciple. Guru never thinks that he has become Guru. Srila Sridhar Maharaj quoted some Bengali proverb about if someone thinks that they have now become a Guru, then they become Guru. You know the meaning of Guru?
Cow.
Yes. Guru in Bengali means cow. Okay? So similar wording. So the Vaishnava never thinks that he has become a Vaishnava. Because why? Because now comes the third line in this 7th shloka. Kintu prabhoya priya eva tasya. So, although he is Sakshat Hari, but he himself is feeling, I am simply a devotee. Whatever is flowing through me to my disciples, that is the grace of my Guru. It is he. He never considers like that. And what does the disciple understand? The disciple also understands that my Sakshad Haritvena Guru also is the most dearly beloved of Krishna. That's why we pray Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, then Preshtaya. What does Krishna Preshtaya mean? See, we need some dusting off of our...
Very dear to Krishna.
Preshta. Preshta means dear. So Krishna Preshta, Krishna Preshtaya, means very dear to Krishna. So this is the mood. And Srila Sridhar Maharaj would say that the bona fide guru, he has two sides. That's the way that he put it. He has his, on one side, his divinely inspired side. And on the other side, his devotee side. So this is the mysterious thing about Guru Tattva. So many things. Someday, we should just read Sri Guru and His Grace from cover to cover together and discuss it. Threadbare. When and where that will be remains to be seen. So, now, Gurudev goes on. What is the symptom of a disciple who has Guru Nishta? How can you tell that a disciple has strong faith in Guru? He will give proper respect even to a dog that is related to his Guru. Anything, anyone that is related to his Guru, he will give them so much respect. If he does not give proper respect to everyone related to his Guru, whether they are initiated or not, if he has no regard and honor for them, then his honor for his Guru is actually only a show. He has no real Guru Nishta. Isn't that a fact? How, if somebody is dear and has a relationship with your Guru, how can you discount them? What to speak of somebody that has the top most intimate relationship with your Guru, that your Guru even considers them to be a Guru for him. So that means that he has no regard or honor. His honor for his Guru is actually only a show. Cannot be real. This is a symptom. Then Gurudev says, I have seen how my Gurudev served the mission and the mood of his Gurudev. I have seen this, Gurudev says. This service is called Guru Mano Bhishta Seva. What is it called?
Guru Mano Bhishta Seva.
You recognize that word, Mano Bhishta? There's a very famous verse written by Narottam Das Thakur to glorify Srila Rupa Gosvāmī. And if you go in front of Rupa Gosvāmī's Samadhi in Vrindavan and you pay your obeisances, you must say this verse in front of Rupa Gosvāmī. What is the verse? Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Itam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Tadati Swa Padanti. Very good. Very good. So, in this verse it says Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam. So, Mano Bhishtam means his inner heart's desire to serve. In this case, Rupa Gosvāmī is being glorified by Narottam Das Thakur in being the very personality who did what?
Serves the innermost desire of Sri Chaitanya.
How? How did he do that?
By understanding what he wanted.
Yes, and then what did he do?
He wrote some books.
That's true. But all in all, what was accomplished by that, by Rupa Gosvāmī? Stapitam Yena Bhutale.
On this earth.
To establish the mission Stapitam yena bhutale, within this world. Bhutale means within this world. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale. That means that Sri Guru in this world is Krishna Prastaya. So here, Narottam Das Thakur is saying, Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale. That person through which the mission to fulfill the inner heart's desire, the Manobhishtam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swayam Rupa, is Rupa Goswami. He's the one. So kada mahyam dadati swapadantikam. When will that Rupa Goswami bestow upon me the shelter of his lotus feet? Padantikam. So Gurudev says, always have this kind of nishta towards your spiritual Diksha Guru and your Siksha Guru. The Diksha Guru may also be Siksha Guru. If your Diksha and your Siksha Guru are the same personality, this is very good. In our case, with Prabhupada, he was the only one. He was the all in all. But then later Krishna sent Siksha Gurus. So here Gurudev is saying that this is very good if your Diksha and your Siksha Guru are one, are the same personality. But in some cases, he said, a separate Siksha Guru is needed, as the disciple cannot always reveal his thoughts to the Diksha Guru because of a mood of great awe and reverence, right? Because that's the relationship with the Diksha Guru. He's like father. And like in Braj Riti, in the culture of Braj, you have certain superiors and you have certain dealings with those superiors, you have certain equals and all of that. So the natural mood, just like Krishna, Nanda Maharaj, he never was embracing Krishna in front of everyone. Did you know that? Yeah. Because he's father. Father is like God. Yes. Mother Yashoda would, but Nanda Maharaj would not do like that. And the relationship between the son and the father is one of very, very great awe and reverence. Of course, there's so much love and intimacy there, but the relationship it's called Sambrahma Bhav. Sambrahma Bhav. Very great awe and reverence. So, with the Siksha Guru, there is what is called Vishramba Bhav, a mood of intimacy with Siksha Guru. Now, because Prabhupada was both our Diksha and our Siksha Guru, we felt both of these moods towards him. So he's saying that in Vishramba Bhav, the disciple may even quarrel with Gurudev for Gurudev and for his service. He may quarrel. And then Gurudev says, sometimes we used to quarrel with our Gurudev for his service. And this is a symptom of Guru Nishta. Another symptom is always offering respect to superiors. That's another symptom of Guru Nishta, especially to God brothers. Nowadays I see that God brothers quarrel with each other. They do not want to be together to glorify their Guru. Now, Gurudev used to observe the Vyas Puja of his own Vyas Puja. He used to observe it according to the book that was discovered by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and it was edited by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. In that book, there is an explanation of the seven groups with 5 personalities in each group. So the group is called a Panchaka, and there are 7 Panchakas. And these are to be worshipped by the Acharya on his own birthday. You know, we were in Malaysia with Gurudev one year, I think it was 2008, and it was Gurudev's Vyas Puja, and he had that all arranged, all the Panchakas. Several times I've seen this. So what are these 7 groups? Okay, the first group is called Guru Parampara Panchak. So we have our own Guru Parampara that we come in. We have our Guru, then we have our Param Guru, then we have what is called the Paratpara Guru. So there's Guru, then Param Guru, then Paratpara Guru, then Parameshti Guru, and Param Parameshti Guru. So for us, Prabhupada disciples, that's Srila Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and Jagannath Das Babaji. Those are our group of Guru Parampara Panchak. Second group is called Krishna Panchak. So who are the 5 personalities in the group called Krishna Panchak? Shri Krishna, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Those 5. Then comes Sanakadi Panchak. What does that Sanakadi mean?
Sanat Kumar.
Yes. Sanat Kumar. Sanakadi means beginning with Sanak. Sanaka Adi. So, the 4 Kumaras and Vishvaksena.
Vishvaksena.
Yes. Then comes what group are we on now? The first group is Guru Parampara Panchak, Krishna Panchak, Sanakadi Panchak. Now we're on the 4th group, which is called Vyasa Panchak. Who are they? Srila Vyasadeva, Jaimini Rishi, Paila Rishi, Vaishampayana Rishi, and Sumantu Rishi. That is a Vyasa Panchak. You can look up more about each of these
Because he
personalities.
divided the one Veda into 4 and had each of those 4. Is that?
If you what?
In the first canto it says that he divided the one Veda into 4 and then put a particular person in charge of each of the 4
It could be
Vedas.
that. It could be that. Yeah, it could be that. You can look that up. All right. Now comes the 5th or 4th? 5th Panchak. And it's called Vayasaki Panchak. Who's Vayasaki? You know who Vayasaki is. Shukadeva Gosvāmī. He's also called Vayasaki. So in Vayasaki Panchak is Sukadeva Gosvāmī, and who else? I'll give you a hint. 4 are all together in one group. 4 plus Sukadeva Gosvāmī. Who would that be? That's the 4 Vaishnava Sampradayas. Yes, their Sampradayas of the 4 Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharyas. Jai Shri Shri Guru Gaudam Ragantavita Giridhari Radha Govinda Ji Ki Jai. Jai Radhe Govinda. Shri Shri Radha Govinda were very happy that even though the artik was late, but they were late because the devotees went down and preached and did Sankirtan. So they didn't mind.
So would those 4 be like Lakshmi and...
No, it's the Acharyas.
Oh, the Acharyas.
Yeah, the Sampradaya Acharyas. Right. Now comes the 6th Panchak, and it's called Pancha Tattva Panchak. This is the easiest one to figure out. Who are they? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Chari, Gadadhar Pandit, and Srivas Pandit. And the last one, the 7th Panchak, is called Upasya Panchak. Do you know what Upasya means?
Upasya, being close to...
Upasya means who are worshipable, who are our worshipable deities, are like our Ishtadev type deities, right? And in this section, the 5 are divided into 2 pairs, and then one last one. So, first, Radha Krishna. Second, Gaur Gadadhar. So that's 4. And last, Guru. So now, Gurudev says we should try to have regard for all acharyas of the 4 sampradayas and the 4 guru paramparas, Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbaditya, and the 4 kumaras, Sanak, Sanatan, Sanat Kumar, Sanandana. We should have regard for Sri Panchatattva and especially for Sri Gaur Gadadhar, Sri Radha Krishna, and Sri Gurudev. Try to follow all the details of this worship. Gurudev used to say, on my birthday, I should give proper honor to all Guru Parampara Acharyas and Godbrothers and all senior Vaishnavas. What I have and what I am preaching is not coming from me. It is coming, it is not that I am so intelligent or that I am preaching. The credit belongs to my Gurudev. By the mercy of my Gurudev, I know the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Rupa Sanatan, Sri Rupa Raghunath, and other Guru Parampara Acharyas. That's by the mercy of my Gurudev. He says, I was sinking in the well of worldly activities in material existence. This is Param Gurudev telling this. But he took my sika and dragged me, and he mercifully engaged me in his service, fully, not partly. He did not tell me, oh, you should be a householder. He dragged me and he engaged me. Sometimes desires outside the realm of pure devotion came in my mind, and I asked him, how can I be saved? And he answered, don't worry, I will save you. If one is sincere, Guru and Krishna mercifully save them, so don't worry. When he would perform his Vyas Puja, he would first worship his Gurudev, and then he would give proper honor to all Vaishnavas, and especially seniors. During his manifest presence, there were no seniors, because he was the senior most. He joined the movement of Srila Prabhupada and became a disciple in 1916. So he was senior to others. Only 5 or 6 had joined before him, like Narahari Prabhu. Who's that?
Seva Vigraha.
Huh?
Seva Vigraha.
Yes. They used to just call him Narahari Da. You know? And he was so intimate with Param Gurudev. They had such a deep, loving, affectionate relationship. So, Gurudev is saying that at the time when he joined, only 5 or 6 had joined before him, like Narahari Prabhu, Bhakti Vilas Tirtha Maharaj, who was Kunja Bihari, and a few others like the brother of Vasudev and Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Maharaj. So at that time, when Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would do Artik, my Guru Maharaj would ring the bell, and Narahari Prabhu was also there. At that time, I want to tell one little, because he's not telling this pastime. Gurudev, this is in the biography. Gurudev is relating this. When Gurudev came with his 2 aunties, that was Gaur Purnima time. It might have been because he became a disciple in 1916. Might have been 1915, not sure. But at that time, Prabhupada had started the Gaudiya Math, right? But he was still in brahmachari. He was not yet had taken sannyas. Anyway, I don't think so.
No, because he did that after
Yeah.
Gaur Kishore.
Yeah, and he left in what year?
1915.
Yeah, this is 1916. Anyway, maybe he had, I'm not sure. So at any rate, he describes that at the end of the Navadvip Mayapur Avirbhav Gaur Purnima festival. So, there were very few devotees at that time. And he makes the point that Srila Prabhupada began to speak to the devotees who were there with him, and those two aunties were there of what was his name, his birth name again? Not Vinod Bihari, what was it again? I'm forgetting now. No, that's his nickname. Okay, anyway, Vinod Bihari Brahmachari. So, Srila Prabhupada began to talk about how we will establish on every one of the 9 islands of Navadvip, we will establish a mutt, a temple. We will also establish printing press, right? We will establish a printing press, and we will print so many literatures, and like this and we will also preach all throughout the length and breadth of Bharatvarsha, right? So then his auntie mentioned to him, and by the way, one of those aunties was very well known. She was known amongst all the Gaudiya Math devotees, and she was quite a poet. And she wrote a very beautiful poetic description, yes, of Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj and his life. So anyway, she said, Oh Prabhupada, you are telling how all these things are going to be happening and how we will have all these mutts on all the islands and all of this. But at the present time, we barely have enough people to ring the bell during the Artik ceremony. So who will do it? And it's just that time when Srila Prabhupada looked at Vinod Bihari and he said, Vinod Bihari will do all things. And he did. Yes. So, then Gurudev says at that time, when he came in 1916, there was no Sri Chaitanya Mutt. Because basically they had the property there at Chandrasekhar Bhavan. Because that's where Prabhupada, earlier on, he had taken that vow to chant 1 billion names of Krishna. It took about 10 years. And mostly he was chanting there at Chandrasekhar Bhavan, which later became the site of Sri Chaitanya Mutt, Akara Mutt Raj, the king of all mutts. So Gurudev is saying that there was no Sri Chaitanya Mutt at that time. Instead, there were many Muslim graves, and there was so much Muslim influences. So my Guru Maharaj came in the night, took out all the graves and threw them away, and on that same night he planted a large garden of mango trees and flowers. So then on the next morning, when the Muslims came to do their namaz, they exclaimed, oh, where's our place? So there's an end notes, because Gurudev is only touching upon some of these, but they actually have end notes at the end where these incidences are described in detail from the biography. Now, Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was very happy because Guru Maharaj used to give his life and soul to fulfill Prabhupada's desires, which is very difficult for most disciples to do. Isn't it? Life and soul, you're going to give? That means at every single moment, like there's no separate anything. Yeah. So, then he says, sometimes a disciple does not obey his guru. Guru says, don't do this, for the betterment of that very fellow. And yet, that disciple rejects his guru's order. This is not a symptom of Guru Nishtha. We should give our life to serve his every word. Our Gurudev always used to keep his life in his hands. This is a Hindi expression meaning to be prepared to give one's life. He used to keep his life in his hands for the purpose of Srila Prabhupada. He even went to jail for him. Once, a person tried to defame Prabhupada by writing that, oh, he is a tattva jnani, a knower of philosophy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada, somebody was writing this. And he is not a rasik bhakta, a knower of Krishna's sweet pastimes. He does not know the taste of mango. He simply sucks the seed. As there is no taste in a seed, concentrating on philosophy without absorption in Krishna's confidential pastimes is tasteless. This is what this person was putting forward. So he is like that. So he is a tattva jnani. He does not know Sri Rupa Raghunath's line, and he does not know the Krishna prem of the gopis. He writes about tattva jnana, and he is preaching that everywhere. They were blind, these people. They never actually saw him. By what his disciple, my Gurudev, preached to me and others, you can realize his position. He preached under the cover of Tattva Jnana. That's what Prabhupada did. Under the cover of Tattva Jnana. And our Prabhupada also. He did not expose the confidential secrets of Krishna's pastimes and the philosophy behind them. He preached this to qualified persons, and he kept the highest truths of Krishna consciousness covered from others. My Gurudev wrote against those persons, and for that reason they filed a court case against him. They managed to get big qualified advocates to plea that Guru Maharaj should be put in jail. Our Gurudev then engaged an advocate from the High Court in Calcutta, and those persons were obliged to apologize. By the grace of our Gurudev, when I was in Mathura, I was the editor, writer, translator, and manager for his monthly magazine called Bhagavad Patrika. I published it alone. Of course, there was a Hindi version and a Bengali version, so Gurudev was doing the Hindi version. And I used to translate Srila Prabhupada's articles, Gurudev's articles, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's articles, and other articles. So someone once wrote in a publication of the Nimbarka Sampradaya that when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met with Keśava Kashmiri, that Keshav Kashmiri defeated him and gave him the Gopal mantra. Śrīmad Mahaprabhu was thus the disciple of Keshav Kashmiri. This publication came to me, and I showed it to my Gurudev. His face at once became red. He became angry, and he ordered me to get a piece of paper. He then dictated to me that there was no Nimbarka in our history and no books of Nimbarka. He said that Srila Jiva Gosvāmī and our other Goswamis, Sri Madhvacharya, Sri Ramanuja, Srila Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and all other previous acharyas never wrote about anyone named Nimbarka Acharya. You heard this before? Yes. The followers of this false person, they used to say that Nimbarka Acharya lived at the time of Krishna. If that were true, why have none of the acharyas written about him? Shankaracharya never wrote about him, and Srila Jiva Goswami never wrote about him in his Sandarbhas. Thus, there was no person named Nimbarka. This false person's followers had invented a story. Then Guru Maharaj explained from the evidence in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that Keśava Kashmiri came to Navadvip and he was defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then he received some teaching from the Lord. Gurudev wrote, quote, "The mentality that I will conquer the whole world, This is not the teaching of vidya, of knowledge. Our paper was sent to those persons involved in writing the misinformed article, after which they became quite furious. Oh, there is no Nimbarka? They challenged and they filed a case in court for defamation. Our Guru Maharaj replied, I will prove my statements, so you should file a suit for 1 million rupees for defamation. I am ready and I will prove my points. He proved all his points and the opponents apologized. They promised, in the future, we will never write like this. And then Guru Maharaj got 1 million rupees. No. So if one wants to have Guru Nishta, he should read my Guru Maharaj's biography and philosophy. This book has been appreciated all over the world. In this biography, I have tried to bring all the teachings of our acharyas. Really, Gurudev did that. I was with Gurudev in Russia. I think it was 2004. Because the biography came out around the year 2000. I remember Nami Maharaj was working on editing that. But in 2004, the Russian translation of the biography came out and it was printed and was presented to Gurudev at that festival. And Gurudev was so happy. So Gurudev is saying that I have tried to bring all the teachings of our acharyas in this biography. If you read it, you will be able to understand what is Guru Nishta and what was the greatness of my Guru Maharaj. Param Pujyapat Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, he did not take sannyas from him as a formality. See what I was saying before? He knew all the principles and philosophy of pure devotional service. Since the time that he joined the temple, he had so much honor for Guru Maharaj, for he saw what he was doing for Prabhupada. He did not take sannyas from him accidentally or to complete a formality. Our Guru Maharaj took sannyas from Param Pujyapada Srila Sridhar Maharaj, even though Srila Sridhar Maharaj joined the mission of their Gurudev after him, but he was an elevated philosopher, a knower of the established truths of bhakti, and his very name, Bhakti Rakshak, means protector of devotion. He has also extensively glorified our Gurudev. To teach other devotees, they used to hold meetings, and they used to defeat each other's arguments in philosophy. Param Pujyapada Srila Sridhar Maharaj would establish one thing, and Guru Maharaj would defeat all his arguments. And then at the next moment, Srila Sridhar Maharaj would defeat all the arguments of our Gurudev. And the entire audience would hear them, enjoy their discussions, and in this way learn so much philosophy. Oh, how unfortunate we are that we were never able to witness that, huh? So,
I'm doing Rangalata.
all the sannyasis of Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they all had a great regard for our Gurudev. When Srila Sridhar Maharaj came to Mayapur for the first time, his name was Ramananda Brahmachari. He saw a young boy of about 20 years old sitting on a chair under the shade of a jackfruit tree and keeping his feet on the table and his hands joined together. Srila Sridhar Maharaj saw from a distance that the young brahmachari was wearing white cloth, not saffron cloth, and he was sitting in a very relaxed manner. Gurudev used to, when he would tell this story, he would say, Gurudev would go like this with his legs, and he would go in a very relaxed manner. He was sitting. And at that time, senior and very qualified sannyasis would come. They would offer their obeisances and they would ask him questions. Staying in the same position, not getting up to offer them obeisances, he would answer. And then again, offering their obeisances, they would leave. So Pujapad, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, told his story to me personally. That's why Gurudev loves to tell this story. Gurudev told that just after the disappearance of Param Gurudev, so at the next Gaur Purnima, so that would have been
1969.
69, he disappeared?
68.
68, right. So it would have been Gaur Purnima of 1969. And, while Param Gurudev was present, all the disciples used to accompany him when he would go on the day after Gaur Purnima. Every single year, he would personally go to pay obeisances to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj and sit with him, and the disciples would also come. On this occasion, when he had now left this world, they all came together, Srila Vaman Maharaj and Gurudev, Trivikram, all of them. They came and they sat at the feet of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. And it was at that time that Srila Sridhar Maharaj told them about the story of his coming the very first time to Mayapur and witnessing this brahmachari under the jackfruit tree. So, Gurudev is saying, Pujapad Srila Sridhar Maharaj told this story to me personally. He told me that he asked the devotees present there at that time, who is this young boy in white dress to whom even sannyasis in saffron cloth are offering obeisances? That would have been something quite unusual at that time. Who is it that in the same position, sitting like that, he is answering their questions and they are leaving very satisfied? Then someone replied, oh, he is Vinod Babu. He managed the complete Mayapur premises, and now there is no longer any influence of Muslims. So if you want to know more, you can read his biography and you can learn what an influential and great acharya he was. That's what I was saying this morning, that if we had not gotten this biography, if Gurudev would not have presented this, it's not just presented to us, Westerners who were with him at that time, it's for the whole future. Such an amazing biography, all of his Siddhanta, all of his preaching, everything. You can really feel close to him by reading that biography. And that's why Gurudev was so happy that it was published. And so, at the time of Parikrama, I saw that when an editorial article was needed, Param Pujapad Srila Vaman Maharaj would wait with paper and pen to know what Guru Maharaj wanted to write. Guru Maharaj would be surrounded by thousands of persons at that time. So, at the same time, he would dictate the required article and also talk with those persons. So amazing. Just, he would speak it, he would write it, it would be published. If we would write any article, we would have to look at so many books for reference, and we would have to carefully think and consider. But Guru Maharaj had no need to think. Although continually interrupted by others, he would speak, and Srila Vaman Maharaj, who was qualified like Srila Vyasadev's divine scribe, who, Ganesh, would take the dictation. Read the biography and learn how to respect others and obey the bona fide and transcendental Gurudev. Don't wonder, is what my Gurudev telling wrong or right? You may test him before the time of initiation, not after. If he says, jump in the ocean, and you can do so, that is good. We have seen so many qualified devotees like Ananta Vasudev, Sundarananda Vidya Vinod Prabhu, who were vastly learned, but they left their Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, because they were thinking, is what he is telling right or not? They thought that he was not qualified for Raganuga Bhajan, and thus they offended him. Can you imagine? A person who chanted 1 billion names of Krishna, to whom the Panchatattva Mahaprabhu appeared, who established the entire Gaudiya Math. And this is the eyes of a disobedient disciple, that they would think, oh, he is not qualified for Raganuga Bhajan, offending such a person. They took poison and they went to hell. And one of them literally took poison. In Germany, Gurudev was telling that. Try to think about these activities of my Guru Maharaj and be a disciple like him. If Gurudev tells his disciple to give his life and soul to him, then he should do that at once. Like Hanuman, who gave himself for the service of Sri Ramchandra. The disciple thinks that Gurudev should not tell him to do this. The disciple thinks that Gurudev should not tell him to do this, however. He does not understand that whatever Gurudev says is for his benefit. So today is his birthday, and we are going to celebrate Vyas Puja, Guru Puja. We will do so in the way that was introduced in our Sampradaya by Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Srila Param Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj, Transcendental Appearance Day, Avirbhav Maha Mahotsav Titi Ki Jai. Mancha Kalpataruvascha Kripa Sindhubhya Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. I just was going to mention one thing. So, you see how we have our pictures of the Guru Parampara here on the wall. I told this like last year or something. And devotees who are here, when they say the Jayadvani, they always say first the name of Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj, and then they say the name of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, and then Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Now, that is okay from one angle. From one angle, that's okay. They're newer devotees and so forth. But, for example, when I first came to Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, gradually Srila Sridhar Maharaj became my first Siksha Guru, right? As my actual Guru. And then, later on, then Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Maharaj became my second Siksha Guru. Now, they're all connected together. And they're all connected together also with who? Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj. So, when prior to our meeting, Srila Gurudev, prior to that, we said our Jayadvani and the names of our Guru Parampara, as we see on ISKCON altars, how the Guru Parampara is there, and after our Srila Prabhupada, then we say Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. But having come in connection with Shri Guru Tattva, Siksha Guru, then we absolutely have to add their names to our Guru Parampara. We cannot avoid saying their names. They're actually our Guru. No less. No less, actually, no less. So in my case, when I first began to feel this connection, then I began to say my own personal Jayadvani and pay my obeisances in a certain order. And the way that I paid my obeisances was Srila Prabhupada first, because he's my Guru. Then Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar second. Then Srila Gurudev third. Right? And then, after Gurudev, even though this is, but I'm doing it in terms of my relationship with each one of these personalities. It's not coming from down to up necessarily, because the Guru Tattva principle is spread out amongst them. So then, I began to say, which I never had done previously, I began to say the name of Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj, and then the name of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So 3 persons were added in my personal Jayadvani. These 3 persons, all being my revered gurus and Guru Parampara. And here I noticed that the devotees in general, practically all of the devotees here, always say the name of Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj first, then they say the name of Srila Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Maharaj, then the name of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And as I said, that is okay, because Srila Śrīla Maharaj was the Siksha Guru, mostly Sannyas Guru, but they had a very, very intimate relationship, and Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj also had very, very high regard for him and took sannyas from him. Now, why did I come to this conclusion myself? Because in the early years, I heard so many times how Srila Gurudev would say, actually, my Guru Maharaj received sannyas from Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then he would relate the fact that 3 different times, on 3 different occasions, Srila Prabhupada was arranging for him, for his sannyas veshan, his danda and stuff to be made, and to give him sannyas. But various senior persons were concerned that if he takes sannyas, and they approached Prabhupada and expressed this to Prabhupada, that if he takes sannyas, he's managing the entire Gaudiya Math, so it would be a problem, right? And then Prabhupada didn't give. Then comes the incident, the famous taking his life in his hands incident. You know which one? Did anyone tell that story this morning?
Yes, I did.
Did you tell it?
Tirthapada Prabhu spoke.
Yeah. All of the Gaudiya Math, all of the disciples of Prabhupada, when that incident happened in Navadvip Dham, where they tried to attack Srila Prabhupada, Srila Śrīla Maharaj has explained this incident. How this disciple was so quick in his mind to immediately assess the situation and immediately bring his Gurudev to safety, and then exchange his clothes inside of the house. So Gurudev says he took the sannyas vesh of his Guru Maharaj, and his Guru Maharaj handed him the danda, and then he took the white cloth and was secretly brought to safety in Mayapur. And in this way, he saved his Gurudev's life, risking his own life. So Gurudev looks upon that incident as being actually, he received sannyas from my Guru Maharaj, but the agent later became Srila Bhakti Rakshak Śrīla Maharaj. Another thing, do you know about his name? His sannyasi name? Keśava? Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj, in a dream, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur came and told him, your sannyasi name should be Keśava. And he told that to Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Yeah.
Also, in 1968, I read, actually Madhukar just read it last night, and a letter to Srila Trivakram Maharaj, our Srila Prabhupada, in 1968, asked Srila Trivakram Maharaj for sending a photograph of Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj, so that we could take that and make copies to put on our altars in the ISKCON centers.
Right.
So, by that...
I don't know if he said on our altars.
No, I don't think so.
I think he just said to hang on the wall in all of our ISKCON temples. Yeah. But at any rate, yes, that's a fact. So now, in completion of this thought process, in my case, I could not really accommodate for my own Jayadvani to say Srila Sridhar, first of all, because I'm also his direct disciple, Siksha disciple of Srila Sridhar Maharaj, so I have to say his name in the beginning anyway. But nevertheless, I would not do that personally, knowing what Srila Gurudev had told about the relationship and that in actuality, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj also came quite long after I think about 1925. So Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava was already for like 9 or 10 years serving in Gaudiya Math. And then after the disappearance of Prabhupada, there was so many court cases and everything, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj was caught up in this because he had actually received a degree in law. So they were engaging him in trying to settle these disputes and all of that. But after about a year of this, then he just gave up. And that's when Param Gurudev went separately, and he had some disciples, some godbrothers that came with him. Then he began gradually to preach and to reestablish the preaching mission, which had ground to a halt. So, and also because he was practically the most intimate disciple. You know, we heard from Gurudev that Srila Prabhupada would call him by a certain Bengali term, which was considered the most intimate way to address someone. Because in Bengali, the normal, like, for persons that you don't know well or persons that you are giving great respect to, when you speak to that person, you call him apni, you, apni. And that's respectful form. Then the next form is for someone who's intimate to you. We also see that in the songs of our acharyas, how they write to Krishna, to me. So that's a term used with great affection, and in a family, and the parents will call to their children like that, an intimate relationship. But the third form is the most intimate way to address anyone, and the term is tui. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, he wouldn't call anyone else by this term, only Vinod Bihari Brahmachari. And I remember when I heard for the first time about his interactions with Prabhupada and his relationship and everything, but he slept in the same room with Srila Prabhupada at his lotus feet on the floor. And Srila Prabhupada would, if Vinod Bihari Brahmachari were coming somewhat later, he would knock on the door and Prabhupada would personally get up and open the door for him. This was their relationship. He did everything. He established the Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti. If that was not established, we wouldn't be here, We wouldn't be here. He gave sannyas to our Srila Prabhupada, who was empowered by that. Some devotees like to say, oh, how can you say that? He was empowered by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. How can you say that he was empowered? No. To think like that is very shallow thinking. Even Raghunath Das Goswami was empowered by Rupa Goswami. He had the direct association 18 years with Mahaprabhu and with Swarup Damodar Goswami. So there's multiple empowerment coming. Not just one personality, but so much mercy and blessings and Shakti being given. And Gurudev told that when that day came where in Mathura, Param Gurudev had come, and Gurudev was also trying to encourage, oh Guru Maharaj, please, you should speak to Abai, Prabhu, Abai, and tell him he must take sannyas, he must take sannyas. So then they had a discussion, they had a meeting together. And then Param Gurudev told him, he said, our Guru Maharaj has given you this seva for preaching in the whole world. You cannot do this unless you take sannyas. You must take sannyas to be able to do this. So then, there was that agreement. Prabhupada made an agreement because, I heard it both ways, but the actual way that it happened was that this elderly godbrother, Sanatan Prabhu, who was living in the mutt, and he was like 92 years of age, and he was a very excellent disciple. He had been engaged in business activities most of his life, but he was an excellent
He
Vaishnava.
purchased the Keśava Gosvāmī mat.
That I didn't hear. I didn't hear that. Okay, well, anyway, he came and was living there. So, we heard it one way, that our Prabhupada told, okay, if he takes sannyas, then I'll also take sannyas, but actually it was the opposite. Sanatan Prabhu said, if he takes sannyas, then I will also take sannyas. That's how it actually happened. You know, so then that moment came, that day came, and what a powerful day. On the Vishwarup Mahotsav day, which is the same day that Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj also took sannyas on that day from Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar in Katha, at the exact place where Mahaprabhu took. So then he gave sannyas on that day, Vishwarup Mahotsav day, to our Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, all of these different deep relationships. So when I hear the Jayadvani with everyone, because most of the devotees here, they've never met Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, so they don't have that relationship of direct Siksha. There's only a few that have that, you know. But they put Srila Sridhar Maharaj just next to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And like I said, that's acceptable, it's okay. But personally, I don't see it as being the proper, full, appropriate. Because even Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he was so, deeply respectful toward Param Gurudev. And he facilitated his sannyas. The only reason why the devotees are putting him in that order, in that, next to Bhaktisiddhanta, is because of that, the fact that he gave sannyas. Right. But that the giving of sannyas also technically is not, that doesn't change the Guru Parampara, from whom someone has received sannyas. It's by the initiation. And it's also by Siksha. Those two considerations.
And they put him right next to Prabhupada, Srila Keśava Maharaj, right next to our Prabhupada.
Next to? You mean above? Or what?
No, right next to our Prabhupada, and then Srila Keśava Maharaj, and Srila Sridhar Maharaj. So, and that way, Srila Keśava Maharaj is right next to our Prabhupada.
Yeah. Yeah, well, like I say, it's okay either way. But I personally think that Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj should be next to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Then Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, then our Prabhupada, and like that. But, like I said, it's okay. It's okay. The devotees have become accustomed to that, and they prefer to say it that way. But all these considerations that I just told are very valid considerations. You're going to say?
Well, I know that, I guess it's just personal, we could do it off camera, but so we sometimes add the names, like I had personal relationships or met and considered Shiksha Gurus, Bhakti Damodar Maharaj and Srila Gaura Govinda Maharaj, and then Srila Tribhuvan Maharaj and Srila Bhava Maharaj. Having met all of them, felt getting blessings from them directly.
Sure.
And then also Srila Bhakti Vaibhav Puri Maharaj and Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. So I felt like that direct blessings. And then after that is when I say Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Gosvāmī Maharaj. But what I'm thinking is that at the time of his disappearance, he seemed to, indicate some intimacy.
Whose disappearance?
Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada.
Yes.
Some intimacy with Srila Bhakti Rakshak.
Oh, of course he did, yeah.
And so then after that, I do Srila Keśava Maharaj and then Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So but I didn't have... You
do Srila Sridhar Maharaj first, then Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Maharaj, then Prabhupada, Bhakti Siddhanta.
Yes, but the only association I had with Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Gosvāmī was in these big Mayapur assemblies, where I was just some little tiny, insignificant, ant in the background, and he was there. I think one time visited his mat.
Who visited?
The whole Parikrama party.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And then another time he came to Mayapur.
Oh, you saw him when he was with Prabhupada?
He was there in 76, right?
Oh, I wasn't there in 76.
Okay.
77.
77? So I just remember that visit on a Parikrama party. So I didn't have any, even glance that I remember, or even know who he was really that well, at that time. So,
yeah.
But I still add him because
of course.
Of knowing that history.
Well, this is the same principle. None of us ever even met Param Gurudev, but through his teachings, through the books, through everything, through our worship of our Guru and our Guru Nishta, and we are being connected with each person, all the way up the line. That will eventually become our connection, very deep internal connection with the Goswamis, with Narottam Das Thakur, with all of those personalities. All of them, we will meet them internally. That's what Raganuga Bhajan is, meeting all these divine personalities. But I was going to mention the point that you brought up about saying the names of all these different personalities. So this, of course, was not going on before Gurudev left the planet at all. No one was saying, unless they were a disciple of Srila Vaman Maharaj, no one was saying his name in the Jayadwani. When we would say the Jayadwani at festivals and we were traveling with Gurudev, we were not saying Srila Vaman Maharaj's name or anyone else's, right? But after Gurudev departed, then it started out, especially Bhakti, what's his name? Bhaktivedanta Vishnu Daivat Maharaj, you've all met him. He's like a mad genius person. He started to say like 50 different names of different disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta, maybe I'm exaggerating a bit. There's like a time and place for that, I feel. The general should be your Guru, your Param Guru, your Paratpara Guru, your Parameshti, and Parameshti Guru, the 5. That should be the order. But if you have Siksha Gurus, then they should be added in there toward the very beginning, But, it's very wonderful. I also do it occasionally. I don't do it all the time, but also I say the names of, about 6 of the different personalities, and most of them we have on the altar. Most of them we have on the altar. Their pictures are there.
But we took Shiksha also from Srila Bhakti.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons, because each one of those personalities I have personally met, except for Bhakti Doya Tamadav Maharaj. But all of those other personalities, I actually do have a very strong feeling in my heart that they're also Siksha Gurus, But one can have many Siksha Gurus. We know that. You can only have one Diksha Guru, but you can have many Siksha Gurus. But there are different levels of Siksha Gurus. Srila Sridhar Maharaj also explains that. And the levels of the Siksha Gurus, that determines what your relationship is with them.
Isn't the Bhajan Siksha Guru special?
That's what I was going to mention, is that when one resolves that this personality is my Bhajan Siksha Guru. Like, for example, Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami, right? So, Rupa Goswami became the Bhajan Siksha Guru of Raghunath Das Goswami, who had even taken 18 years of tutelage under Swarup Damodar Goswami, So even on the highest levels, in the realm of Rag Anuga Bhakti, even in the realm of, Ruchi, Asakti, and Bhav, there's also Anugatya there. So there's never any need to eliminate the saying of the Guru's names, but at the same time, it's not an offense to not say their names, and especially if there's some time limit or whatever. But, it's not necessary. Gurudev never demonstrated that when he said his Jai Dhvani, or Madhav Maharaj or any of the others. They would say the name of their Diksha Guru, their Siksha Gurus, then their Guru Parampara, So, but if devotees, like, especially Gaur Hari Prabhu, I love to hear his, because he adds many disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who he's developed great attachment to, from reading from my beloved master's book of Bhaktivigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj. So, all is well, all is acceptable, and but that's my moods as far as keeping Param Gurudev Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava right next to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And it's not saying that someone like Srila Sridhar Maharaj didn't have extremely deep, like you just mentioned, being asked to sing at the time of his passing, So this realm of these extraordinary personalities, I was saying the other day that I've developed a very sweet, loving affection in my heart toward a person I've never met. I've seen his photos. And that is, his appearance day was just a couple days ago. And that is Bhakti Saranga Gosvāmī Maharaj. I love him. And just like, I just became attached to him.
10 fingers.
Yeah. That's one of his preaching things. But it's just, he's such an amazing personality. And I never would have known him if Bhaktivigyan Bharati Maharaj had not written that. I never would have known him, So like, this is the wealth. This is our wealth. All of these Mahabhagavad personalities, they're in our family. They're our uncles. They're our cousins. They're our, So it just makes it more and more and more sweet. This is the transcendental, the more the merrier, right? Yeah, so.
Srila Maharaj says that Prabhupada is taking us to the land of gurus.
Yes, there's a chapter in the Sri Guru and His Grace, the land of gurus. I'll end with that, because it's getting late. What Srila Sridhar Maharaj told about that, he said, in the beginning, a disciple recognizes his own Guru. His vision of Guru is confined there, to his own Guru. And he thinks, Mat Guru Shi Jagat Guru. My Guru is Jagat Guru, right? But then, in the course of advancing, and in course of time, then his vision begins to gradually be modified, where he begins to see, actually I have other gurus also. He says, like, he begins to see, like, even from the position of the godbrothers of his own guru, or also senior godbrothers of them, like the Siksha Guru principle begins to manifest. That's why Srila Prabhupada established his system of authority, because he wanted that there would be a Siksha Guru principle within ISKCON as well, right? And there would be a line of authority. So, Srila Sridhar Maharaj says, as the devotee develops further and further, and he goes through the higher and higher stages, then his vision of Guru and Guru Tattva is always expanding. It's always expanding. It's not, restricted, constricted. So then, he said, at a certain stage, when that devotee begins to enter into the realm of the supreme absolute Goloka Vrindavan, Leelas and pastimes, and he realizes his personal Siddha Swarupa, right? And then he begins to enter into that realm in the stage of Bhav and in the stage of Asakti, just beginning. Now he enters the land of gurus. And what does he say there about that land of gurus? He says there, in that land of gurus, where everyone, everything, every dust particle is attracting us towards the service of Krishna. So all are guru. You are entering the land where even the ground is guru, the ground that you walk on. And then he said, so there, in that land, you cannot walk on your feet. Because if you walk on your feet, it will be an offense. So you have to walk on your head, he said. So that's in that chapter, the land of gurus. So today we had a Guru Tattva day. And the day after tomorrow, on Monday, will be another very, very important Guru Tattva day, the Transcendental Appearance Day of Prabhupada, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So all glories to Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj, Kriti Ratna Acharya Keshari, Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Maharaj ki jai. Jai. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga,
Nitai Gauranga Jaya, Nitai Gauranga,
Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev,
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 Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Jai Shri Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande. Jai Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Om Vrindai Tulsi Devai Priyai Keśavasya Cha Krishna Bhakti Pradede Satya Vachai Namo Namah Vansha Kalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. All glory to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.